Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you've ever stared at a projected image that looks washed out because the room isn't dark enough, or you've worried that a cheap screen will just reflect glare, those are the exact questions I was asking myself before I dug into the WUPRO Gallery fixed-frame projector screen. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're planning a home theater or a gaming setup, the screen is the middleman between your projector and your eyes, and that middleman can either make or break the experience. The biggest hesitation most people have is picking a size that fits their space without looking either tiny or overwhelming. With the WUPRO screen, you're looking at a 200-inch diagonal surface, which translates to about 11 by 6.5 feet. That's a size you typically see in dedicated media rooms, not in a living room that doubles as a playroom. If you have a wall that can accommodate that footprint and you're willing to mount a fixed frame, the screen can turn a regular projector night into a cinema-like event. The first thing that sets this screen apart is the soft matte grey fabric. It's not just a dark grey for aesthetic reasons, it's engineered to cut down on RGB laser speckle by up to 69%. In practical terms, if you're using a laser projector, you'll notice fewer shimmering specks moving across the image when you're watching fast action scenes or fast-moving game footage. That can be a game changer for gamers who want a clean, steady picture while racing or battling. It also boosts perceived contrast, so blacks look deeper even if the ambient light isn't perfectly blacked out. But there's a trade-off. The grey surface does a little bit of color toning down. If your projector is on the lower end of the lumen scale, say, under 2000 lumens, you'll see the image look a shade dimmer, and some colors may not pop as much as they would on a white screen. In a completely dark room with a high brightness projector, the grey is practically invisible, but in a bright living room with a modest projector, you may find the picture a touch muted. That's why it's essential to match the screen with a projector that can deliver enough brightness to overcome the grey tint. Let's talk about real-world installation. The frame is fixed, which means once it's mounted it stays perfectly flat, no sagging corners or wobble when you accidentally brush the edge. The aluminum frame is designed to be recessed into a wall or mounted on a ceiling track, and the whole thing comes in 3 pieces that bolt together. It's not a DIY nightmare, but you do need a drill, a level, and a few helpers if you're working on a large wall. For renters or folks who can't make permanent modifications, that could be a deal breaker. On the flip side, the fixed frame eliminates the wiggle room you get with pull-down screens, which can be a plus if you're looking for a sleek, permanent look. Now, who should actually buy this screen? First, anyone who already owns a projector with at least 2500 lumens and plans to use it in a room where you can control lighting. Think a basement media room, a dedicated home theater, or a dark home office. If you enjoy HDR movies or play modern games that rely on deep blacks and bright highlights, the grey fabric will give you that extra contrast boost that makes those details pop. Second, families that host movie nights and want a big picture experience without investing in a full-blown commercial theater screen will find the 200-inch size impressive, especially for sports or action movies where that extra screen real estate makes a difference. Finally, tech-savvy users who have already done the math on projector to screen size ratios and know they need a bigger image to fill their field of view will appreciate the straightforward sizing, no guesswork. Just a screen that fits the recommended 1.5 to 2.5 times the diagonal of a typical 1080p or 4K projector. Who should skip it? If you live in an apartment where you can't mount a 200-inch frame, this screen will be more trouble than it's worth. The same goes for anyone who uses a budget projector under 2000 lumens. Those units will struggle to overcome the grey tint, and you'll end up with a dim, muted picture that feels underpowered. Also, if you primarily watch content in a bright living room with large windows and you're not willing to invest in blackout curtains or a dedicated lighting setup, the grey screen won't compensate for that excess light. In those scenarios, a traditional white or high-gain screen might serve you better, or a motorized pull-down screen that can be stowed when not in use. Let's break down the practical strengths you'll notice day to day. First, the contrast enhancement is real. I tried a scene from a recent sci-fi film with heavy shadow detail, and the grey fabric delivered richer blacks without sacrificing overall brightness. Second, the speckle.